So a real world concept that you probably will see math used a lot in is when you go shopping. And the thing we're going to talk about today is sales tax. So let's say you go to the counter and you ring up everything, and I'm going to make it really easy right now, and it costs $80. Well, you don't just pay just $80. There's tax that they add on to it, and that's how businesses get their money. So just to keep it simple, let's say that sales tax is 5% of your total purchase. So we need to find 5% of that $80 to find out how much more we have to pay, how much the company is getting. So the way we introduced how to find percentages is we said, part over whole equals your percent over your 100. So when we look at this, we can think, okay, well, obviously I know which one's my percent because it's got the percent sign. So now we have the $80. Is that the part or the whole? Is that the is or the of? Is that the little bit or the total? And it's actually, the total amount. So we can plug everything in. So the only thing I'm looking for is the part. So whenever we're doing sales tax, the sales tax is the part. It's always going to go on top. So x out of 80 equals 5 out of 100. And now we're going to solve this problem. Whenever you have a ratio or a fraction equals to a fraction, you solve it by cross multiplying. So I have 100x equals 80 times 5 is 400. Then solving for x, the 100 and the x are right next to each other. That means they're multiplying. So the opposite or the inverse operation is division. So x equals 4. Okay, so what does this mean again? 4. For what? We go back. Remember, it was on top. It was the tax. So it's $4. So that means my sales tax, it's $80 when I go, and then they charge me an extra $4 on tax. So what's my new price? Your total price is going to be your original plus your tax. And so here our original was $80 and our tax was an additional $4, so $84. I know that's a really simple example. Let's do a harder one. So we'll do a little bit more into tax next time, but let's think of another example when you need to find percent of something. The thing that comes to mind is, let's say you work in sales, so your job is basically you try to sell things, and whatever you sell, you make a certain percentage off of it. A lot of people end up working in sales as one of their first jobs, or they're really, really good at it and they do it for life. So you could sell cars, sell houses, sell furniture, and again, you find up your total amount that you sell things for. So let's say I sold a bunch of furniture and it was, I don't know, $480 worth of furniture. This is a discount place. And I'm going to make commission. I earn a certain percentage of the sales. So I earn, I don't know, 17% commission. So what I need to do is I need to find my part over my whole equals my percent over my 100. So I'm going to set it up. Again, we think about this and we think, okay, well, it's obvious the percent sign goes over there. Now the 480, is that the part or the whole? Now if I sold 480, I'm not going to make more than 480, so it's going to be the total amount. I'm going to make something smaller. So just like tax was on top, the commission is also on top. So I plug it in. And now I'm going to multiply everything. Whenever you have a ratio equals to a ratio or a fraction equals to a fraction, you have to cross multiply. So let's see. That's obviously 100x. 480 times 17 is 8,160. Okay, dividing by 100 is pretty easy because that's 816 divided by 10. When you divide by 10, you just move it over one place. So 81.6. Remember, it's money, so we go to the hundredths. So this means I make $81.60 for selling $480 worth of furniture. So let's say I did that like in one day, right? So say every day, let's say I average selling, what was that? $480. Okay, I know that means that my commission was going to be $81.60. Let's say I did this every day. So for the entire week, how much do I make? Well, there's two ways you could do this. The hardest way is you could think, okay, there's 5 days in a week, in a work week. Okay, let's just say I'm working 5 days that week. You could multiply that number by 5, then set up the percent equation with the percentage and do all that work. Or the easier way is we already found our commission, so I can just take that $81.60 and I can multiply it by 5. Again, I'm acting like I'm working 5 days that week. Okay, so $418. I think that's okay, you know. I better get better at selling things, otherwise I'm going to go broke. So again, we have part over whole equals percent over 100. Oops, that's
morning, teachers.
sorry about that. Okay, so again, the percent's easy. It's just the percent sign. The whole, that means your total, your of, yeah, part, that's your is, your tax, your commission. My handwriting's getting worse and worse. Okay, so you sit up and you need to move. Some skills that you need to be really comfortable with for this unit. You need to be able to be good with multiplying 2-digit numbers and 3-digit numbers. You need to be comfortable with dividing, usually by 100. And you also need to be comfortable with understanding your decimals with both of these things, when we multiply or when we divide. So when you're multiplying with decimals, like let's say 5.2 times 8, after you're done doing the multiplication, that's a tenth smaller, so you need to move it over one place. In division, you just move the decimal straight up when you're done dividing. Okay, and that's it.